Hey y'all. Whew. Welcome in the room. We are having a student loan chat. We are 2 days away. It is October 30th, and we are 2 days away from the public service loan forgiveness, the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness deadline. Hi, I am Carmel. Oh, I didn't get to finish reading that. Nelson Mora, come on in the room, guys. We are talking about the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, the temporary Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program that ends October 31st. You guys have 2 days, count them, 1, 2, today and tomorrow to get your applications in. For Life, Peo, Riarcola Ellis, welcome in the room, guys. We are talking about public service loan forgiveness, these temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. My friends and I are back from a whirlwind day, and now I'm here sitting with you guys. Magical, I know. So welcome, come on in the room. Do you guys have questions about student loans, student loan forgiveness? So we'll just chat about a few new things. So the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, basically the expiration of the program is October 31st. So that means that is your last day to apply for the program. And there are a few fun things you should know: that there is a time and a date stamp on the website. So which means they are aware that you have, let's say, a pending employer eligibility. So go ahead and submit your application, even if that is still pending, the employer eligibility. If your consolidation of your student loans, also if that is pending, still go ahead and submit your public service forgiveness application. So those are two really big ones. So if your employee or your employer eligibility is still pending, if your consolidation is still pending, all of these are cases where they already know that you have started the process and submitted your application for the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program before October 31st. They are already aware of that, so they will still let you get the benefits of the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. Also, employer eligibility, consolidation of your loans, and also if you are still waiting on employer signatures and those are still pending, just make sure they date the application October 31st or basically earlier than that. So at the latest, that application should be dated October 31st to make sure that you get to experience the benefits of the public service loan forgiveness program. And so a few things that will no longer be around. And if you guys are just coming in the room, please like the broadcast, please share. We're talking about student loan forgiveness. Any questions you have about student loans, public service loan forgiveness, or temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness? And the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness ends in 2 days, October 31st, 2022. Be Fancy Beauty, thank you for saying to go ahead and follow the host. I'm getting text messages while I'm on here. Thank you guys. So go ahead and follow and like the broadcast and share with somebody that you know that may need the information. I would greatly appreciate that. So a few things that will go away when the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program is done. So when it ends October 31st, this would mean that November 1st, we're saying that because there were a few really amazing things that were happening with the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, but they'll go away starting November 1st. So if you are a retired public servant, so which means you worked, let's say, for 40 years for a nonprofit organization or government entity that was considered a qualifying employer by the Department of Education, you could, with the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, you could get your loans forgiven basically sitting on the couch. So which means that you did not have to be still working for that qualified employer. But the regular program that it will then return to on November 1st, You have to be working for the qualifying employer in order to get your loans completely forgiven. So that was one thing. Let me mention one more thing. And then actually, if you are a teacher, so a teacher that is getting teacher loan forgiveness, the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness allows you to not only get your payments to count for teacher loan forgiveness, they also count for the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. So it's like double dipping a little bit. You get to dip your French fry twice, basically, which is amazing. But that ends October 31st. So that'll be your last day to apply if you are. So if you know people, guys, they are retired and have student loans still and work for a government entity or a non-profit, make sure you let them know. Or you know somebody who is a teacher, let them know. Because when they apply for the program, all those payments will count towards their 120 payments or 10 years worth of payments, because those are the few caveats of the public service loan forgiveness and just temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. So basically means in order to get your loans completely forgiven, you have to be paying either 10 years or 120 payments. And the best part about the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program is that your $0 payments after March 13, 2020. So basically when Biden froze the student loan payments and the interest, all those $0 payments counted. So each of those payments also counted towards your 120 payments. And then also they were counting any late payments, any partial payments, any lump sum payments. They were counting all of those as well, when normally they would not. Starasia, is that what I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your username. So Starasia Watson, I work for DHS. What does that stand for, Starasia Watson? I can make up something, but I'm not really sure. It's like Department of Health Services, something like that. But it's a government entity, it sounds like. So the way you check to see if your employer is a qualified employer is that you actually go to your W-2, and in the top left corner, it's something called an EIN number, Employer Identification Number. And that's the number that you go onto studentaid.gov, and you put that EIN number, the employer identification number, into the PSLF search tool. And then that'll let you know if your employer is qualified. But then you have to remember that even if they do not show up there, your employer does not show up there, it's best to always call the Department of Education and know for sure, because then they'll say, hey, you know, the tax status is, because sometimes the employer does change their tax status. And when they change their tax status, they can then be a qualified employer. So you want to know for sure. Red, black, green. I'm just here because your skin is gorgeous. That's such a compliment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. I'm just trying to look around Queen Jess to see if there's any questions from you guys. So we're talking about student loans, public service student loan forgiveness, and what's ending soon, October 31st, 2022, is the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. So we are chatting about that tonight because so we're talking about some main qualifications. So in order to get your loans completely forgiven, 120 payments, 10 years worth of payments, basically. But then remember that you don't need 120 payments to qualify for the program. You just need 120 payments or 10 years worth if you want your loans completely forgiven at that time. So remember, when you go ahead and you say, okay, you know what, I believe that my employer is qualified, and you've gone through the PSLF search tool to find out, okay, are they qualified? So you know, okay, they're qualified, and then you've been working at least 30 hours on average per week. That also qualifies you. And then you've also consolidated your loans into a direct consolidation loan. That is also very important, because you cannot qualify for the public service loan forgiveness without converting your loans into a direct consolidation loan. And a consolidation loan, what does that really mean? It just means that you convert your loans into one loan. So which means all of your loans, well, all the ones you decide you want to consolidate, all those loans will be in one loan with one new rate, with one new interest rate, basically saying. And it's kind of what we call a weighted average rate. So be mindful that when you consolidate your loans, you do not have to consolidate all your loans. So that's very important to know, because I did not know that when I consolidated my loans. And I consolidated them all, because then remember that there'll be some that have some of your loans will have a super low interest rate, and you'll just be like, okay, I don't need to consolidate this loan that's at 2%, because then when you do a weighted average with your other loans, who wants to have that 2% interest rate for that loan then go up to like 4%? Doesn't make sense, right? You'd rather just pay it off, because the interest rate is growing so slowly, right? So that means it's adding very minimal amount to your loan balance. So saying all of that to say, when you consolidate your loans, you can leave out loans that you wish to pay separately. So the ones where they're about the same interest rate, it's okay to then convert those into a direct consolidation loan, because that is what you'll need in order to qualify for the student loan forgiveness program. Man of Arms, thank you for joining us. Georgia Wilt 776, thank you for joining us. If you're just coming in the room, we're talking about student loans, public service loan forgiveness, and temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. Honey Love 13, so I fill out the form and sent back in the beginning of October. So when should we expect the $10,000 to be deducted? Okay, so Honey Love says, so I filled out the form and sent it back in the beginning of October. So when should we expect the $10,000 to be deducted? So Honey Love, it sounds like you're talking about the student loan forgiveness that was just announced by Biden. So that was in August, around August 22nd. So it was either $10,000 forgiven for the borrower or $20,000 if you took out a Pell Grant. So for this one, so which means that you've now filled out the application. So if you guys have not filled out the application to have your student loan forgiveness of the $10,000 or $20,000 if you have the Pell Grant, you want to go on, I believe it's studentaid.gov/debt relief/application. And then you go there and fill out the application, which is less than 5 minutes long. So usually ask for like your email address, your date of birth, your name. You also basically attest that you make less than $125,000 if you're single, or less than $250,000 if you are married. And so when should you expect the $10,000, Honey Love? Actually, right now, the program is paused. It's on hold because there are several lawsuits that are basically stating that, there were about 6 states at one point that were saying, okay, we don't believe that the Biden administration has authority to actually give this forgiveness. And a lot of the states were saying, okay, well, this would reduce the revenue for particular states and things like that. So until more of those lawsuits basically go to court and things are decided, it'll be on hold until that time. And it's hard because, we're like coming up to like elections and all of these things. And I'm sure at some points there'll be a lot of people who want to keep the fact that they push it out further, then they're thinking that, okay, well, maybe we can keep it so it never passes. So it's hard to say where the program is right now. The public service loan forgiveness, I work for the state of Massachusetts. Oh, okay, Honey Love. So remember, if you're doing public service loan forgiveness, that's different. So the student loan forgiveness by Biden, that's the $10,000 or $20,000 for Pell Grant. So do you just owe $10,000? Is that what you're saying? Because if it's public service loan forgiveness, you'd be able to get, and that is actually a qualifying employer, and you know that for sure, you'd be able to get all of your loans forgiven after 120 payments. And of course, including the $0 payments after the that happened during COVID, so after March 13th, 2020. So it depends on where you are in that process. Like, where are you in the process of, because you said you submitted your application, and so you haven't heard anything from the Department of Education then yet about where your status is, because they'll be able to tell you, they'll be able to give you an idea, okay, what would your consolidation payments be monthly? They'll be able to let you know how many payments, so how close you are to complete forgiveness. They'll be able to say, okay, you're 110 out of 120. User 755, thank you for that. Yes, guys, go ahead and follow me if you can. I really appreciate that. Go ahead and like as well. Share the broadcast if you know somebody who needs the information. Honey Love says, I've been working there for 7 years. And I know I make the credits. You only owe about, okay, so Honey Love says that she's been working at the state of Massachusetts for about 7 years and she only owes about $10,000. Well, that's awesome. That's magnificent if you only have $10,000 left. So really, just based on the fact that you have $10,000 left, so when everything goes through with the regular student loan forgiveness, that $10,000 should be forgiven as long as these loans are dispersed after June 30th, 2022. So there's a few caveats with the student loan forgiveness, but those $10,000 should actually be forgiven just with that one program. But the public service loan forgiveness, so like if you're at 7 years, you technically would have about 3 years left because you've worked there for 7 years. Yeah, you technically would be a few years short. So yeah, you need to find out what the Department of Education is saying is the amount of payments that you've already paid towards that 120 payments, because that will include those $0 payments as well, because that's what the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness does. Press Rewind 3, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan Walker, 523, welcome. But Honey Love, that's awesome that you only have about $10,000 left. So it means you are meant to be free. Because I still have some hope and definitely some prayers that just a regular student loan forgiveness will go through. All 6 Imperial Trading Cards. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and like the broadcast, guys. Go ahead and share with somebody you know that needs the information. We're talking about student loans. So student loan forgiveness, public service student loan forgiveness, the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, that ends on October 31st, 2022. And we've already discussed how the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program, there's a time and date stamp on the website. So even if you have your employer signatures are pending, if your loan consolidation is pending, if your employer eligibility is pending, all these things can still be pending, and you can go ahead and submit your PSLF application and basically have that in the books while the other parts are pending. It's Julia. That's a fun name. Welcome in the room. So guys, we're talking about student loans, public service loan forgiveness, temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. Trying to think of what else. And then you guys know that, let's see. So temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, we've already talked about the 2 big parts that are changing, which, for if you're retired and you, after the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program expires October 31st, then November 1st, if you are retired, you will have to be working at that nonprofit or government entity in order to get your loans forgiven. And then if you are a teacher, it means after October 31st, your payments will only count toward teacher loan forgiveness. They will not count for both the teacher loan forgiveness and the public service loan forgiveness program. So not for both. Okay. And then let's see, some new changes that are here to stay so after November 1st. So the part about the late payments, partial payments, and lump sums. So before, you had to pay on time and you had to pay full payments. Otherwise, the payment didn't count towards your 120 payments for loan forgiveness. But now, those items, so you can have a late payment, you can have a partial payment, or a lump sum payment that would count now toward your 120 payments. Those aspects are supposed to be here to stay, is what I read recently. The Department of Education has decided to keep those. And then also, there were a lot of options there were only a few options for deferment and forbearance that were allowed to count towards the public service loan forgiveness program. So now that list is expanding. So which means there are more options where, you're on deferment and forbearance, and then some of those payments will count then towards your public service loan forgiveness. So that's here to stay. And then as well as working 30 hours on average a week, that's also here to stay. So it should be a part of the new features of the basically overhauled public service loan forgiveness program. Willie folks, thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for coming on in the room. Continue to like the broadcast. I really appreciate that. Share the broadcast with people you know that might need the information. I'm here to answer your questions. So if you have questions about the student loan forgiveness that has come out just in the last 2 months since August, or if you have questions about the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness that ends October 31st, 2022, let me know. 22 Clary, thank you for joining us. There was also a really big thing about, because remember, let's talk student loan forgiveness, just the regular, the program that Biden just announced. So $10,000 forgiven for most borrowers, or $20,000 if you have a Pell Grant. So just recently, so I think it was like September 28th or 29th, Biden announced that if you had privately held or commercially held FFEL loans or Perkins loans, that those would no longer be eligible for the loan forgiveness, just the regular student loan forgiveness, so $10,000 or $20,000. But if you consolidated your loans prior to that time period, so prior to the announcement of the 28th or 29th of September, that prior to that announcement, if you consolidated before then, you are still eligible for that $10,000 for forgiveness. So remember, it's really important for us to act quickly in this regard because things are changing fast. And so now, even with public service loan forgiveness, at least from what I'm aware of, if you have privately held FFEL loans and Perkins loans, you can consolidate those loans into a direct consolidated loan. So if you are able to, and you work for a qualifying employer, and you qualify for the public service loan forgiveness, and you have private loans, this is your loophole. This is your time to go ahead and consolidate those private loans into a direct consolidation loan. And it's like, you don't get this opportunity very often to be able to do that, because we have lots of people, right, who went to private schools and have these private loans with 8-9% interest, really high interest rates. Okay. And so this is the time to be able to convert those from private loans to direct consolidation loans. And under the new PSLF program, the date that was put out there was May 1st. You have to basically consolidate those FFEL loans, privately held or commercially held, and Perkins loans by May 1st of 2023, which gives you some time, but doesn't give you a lot of time. So I need you guys to act quickly, because what does this mean then? That after May 1st, 2023, does that mean that you'll no longer be able to consolidate? Does that mean you'll no longer be able to consolidate those loans then after that time? Because remember, just like before, it was stopped. So we have to be aware of that. Let's see, Jack Pack 7. Does Sallie Mae count? So so Jack Pack 7 is asking, does Sallie Mae count? So Sallie Mae, you're asking for the regular student loan forgiveness, so the $10,000 or the $20,000 if you have a Pell Grant. You'll have to see, so number one, so Sallie Mae, okay, yeah, you'll have to see, so go on the studentaid.gov website and go to your loan history. So you basically will go to your profile, go to your loan history, and see if your loans show up on the Department of Education website. Because more than likely, which there are some cases where it doesn't show up correctly, but more than likely it means those loans are basically an entity of the Department of Education. Because basically any of your loans that are eligible for this loan forgiveness have to be loans held by the Department of Education. It says, yeah, for the private loans to be consolidated. Okay, so Jack Pack 7 is saying, yeah, for the private loans to be consolidated. So does Sallie Mae count? So you're saying you have private loans from Sallie Mae. Do those count to be consolidated? Is that what you're asking, Jack Pack? So do Sallie Mae loans, so they're private loans is what you're asking? Okay, so Sallie Mae, they're private loans, and then can you consolidate those? If they're private loans, you should be able to. I wouldn't, let's see, because FFEL loans and Perkins loans. I would say that I would definitely try, because the site is very specific though. The Department of Education site is very specific when it says particularly FFEL loans and Perkins loans. So you might have to go back and look to see, okay, not just it's a Sallie Mae loan, but like what kind of private loan is it? Does it say Perkins loan or FFEL loan? Because you have to remember, when in doubt, because I know I don't know absolutely everything, I really don't. So especially about student loans per se, okay? I don't know everything. But because I would say you should call so you'll have to see, so is Sallie Mae, so Sallie Mae is servicing these loans. And then I would want you to call the Department of Education to find out, because you need to know a few things. You need to go on your servicer's website. So if it's Sallie Mae, or you can also, of course, go on studentaid.gov, because if that's but you're saying that it's a private loan, because if it's a private loan, it shouldn't show up on the Department of Education website, because only the Department of Education loan should show up on that site. So it's private, so you should have to go to Sallie Mae. So you would have to both call and go on Sallie Mae's website, because you would want to see, like, okay, what kind of private loan is it? It's FFEL, it's Perkins, and I'm sure they have so many out there right now. So I would call there. I would look online first. So going into your profile, looking at your loan history to see what kind of loans. Heartland. And see, I haven't, but it's a Perkins loan. Okay. Yeah, okay, Jack Pack. Okay, so, someone else is asking. Okay, someone else is saying Heartland Perkins loan. Okay, so Lisa Hager, Heartland Perkins loan. If it's a Perkins loan, so which means you're saying it's a private loan for you specifically. So if it's a private loan, I would say contact studentaid.gov, and you can both call them, and if you're eligible for the PSLF, I would go ahead and ask them about, okay, well, what am if I consolidate my loan, what will my payments be? Because you want to make sure that you can afford the payments, whatever they are. And then you'll want to then fill out the consolidation information to consolidate that Perkins loan into a direct consolidation loan, because now that makes you eligible for the PSLF program. Because if you don't, it'll stay as a Perkins loan, a private loan, with that high percentage, with that high interest rate. And so Jack Pack, yeah, if it's Sallie Mae, I would definitely call them and say that, okay, what kind of loan is this? And then when you find out what kind of loan it is, I would call the Department of Education and be like, okay, I have this kind of loan. Can I consolidate this private loan into a direct consolidation loan? That's the question you want to ask. So what kind of private loan is this? And can I and then you call, so that's Sallie Mae's question, and then you call the Department of Education and say, can I consolidate this private loan into a direct consolidation loan? Whew, Jack Pack, do it quick. Do it quick, because things are changing so fast. Do it quick, and the deadlines are changing fast. So if you guys are just coming in the room, we're talking about student loan forgiveness, temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. And, Lisa Hager, through college is on my, okay, so through college, but it's on your studentaid.gov. That's the part that's been confusing me. There have been a lot of people that have been saying, I go on studentaid.gov, which is supposed to have your basically Department of Education loans, and then they find Perkins loans. That's very confusing, because Perkins makes it seem like it's private. And see, so Lisa Hager, I would call the Department of Education. I would get complete clarity with the Department of Education. I would call them and say, I have something on here called the Heartland Perkins loan. I need to know, is this considered I need to know whether this is a private loan or a Department of Education loan, because that'll decide on where you're going then. Because if it is a private loan, you need to know, can I consolidate it? So if I'm eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, can I consolidate it into a direct consolidation loan? If it's not already, for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness. But still, even then, even for the regular, Lisa Hager, even for the regular student loan forgiveness program, where you are receiving $10,000 or $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients, you still want to know, like, is this considered a Department of Education loan or is it considered a private loan? Because there was someone in the chat on TikTok actually that said that at some point he basically took the loan out as a Department of Education loan and then it was sold to a privately held company, and he was unaware of that. So that's very fascinating, because then they told him that, hey, this loan is now a private loan. It's not a Department of Education loan. And he was just like, well, who said that? Because I didn't take it out privately. I am Fluke Survival. Hey, how are you tonight? I'm doing pretty good. It's been a whirlwind kind of day. Church and lots of eating. How's your day? Lisa Hager, yes it is. Thank you. Yes, of course, Lisa Hager. My pleasure. Mystical Moonbeams. That's a fancy name. Thank you for joining us. If you're just coming in the room, we are talking about student loans and student loan forgiveness, public service loan forgiveness, and the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness is ending October 31st. So this temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program is basically you getting credit for all of your $0 suspended payments made during COVID. So after March 13th, 2020, Biden froze the payments for your student loans and your interest. So even though you weren't paying real money and it was considered a $0 payment by my company is saying, why are you doing a live right now? Because I said I was. So those $0 payments go towards your 120 payments for public service loan forgiveness, but this is complete public service loan forgiveness. K-Jax1, welcome in the room. But I'm trying to think of what else. So this program, so temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness ends October 31st. And K-Jax, hello. We were talking about that the studentaid.gov website has a time and date stamp to let you know that they already know that you have begun the process. So they know that that you are pending, you have pending employer signatures, and they know that you are having your loans. They're pending because they're waiting to be consolidated, and they know that they're waiting for you to have a confirmed employer eligibility. But that's okay. With that time and date stamp, they know you've started the process. So please go ahead and submit your PSLF application anyway. And remember that there's only one application. So there is one application that says PSLF and temporary expanded PSLF. So just one. But it's ending soon. So if you guys are eligible, make sure you go ahead and get started. And we talked about a few of the little caveats of how you get qualified for the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. So complete forgiveness comes when you have 120 payments or 10 years worth of payments. And this includes all of your $0 suspended payments during COVID. So after March 13, 2020. And then you have to be working at least an average of 30 hours a week. And then you have to consolidate your loans into a direct consolidation loan in order to apply. And when you go on the website, when you apply, it will ask you, are your loans consolidated? Because if not, they'll have you fill out that application on there as well. And so if you're looking for any of these applications, the student loan forgiveness application, which is studentaid.gov/debt relief/application. That takes less than 5 minutes. They ask for your name, your date of birth, your email, and then having you attest to the income limits. So you make less than $125,000 if you're single, less than $250,000 if you're married. And then on the same website, you'll be able to find the PSLF and temporary expanded PSLF application. I'm Fluke Survival. You are doing well tonight. I am glad to hear that. Very, very glad to hear that. User 085, welcome in the room. We are talking about student loan forgiveness. Any other questions? He said, wear your cool glasses. I was out and about today, so I left them at home and put in my contact lenses. That's so funny you remember the glasses. Thanks for noticing. Denise Honeycutt 18, welcome in the room. Any more questions? Because if not, I am going to go eat. I'm hungry and I need a nap. But I want to thank you guys for joining us so much. And we will be back tomorrow. Because it's October 31st. So I might come on here shouting because I'm like, come on, I need you guys to fill out the application so you can change your life. So you can change the trajectory of the rest of your lives. Okay, Jax, thank you for the information. You are more than welcome. It's my pleasure. Well, so if you guys don't have any more questions, I'll be back tomorrow. One more time. You guys take care. Have a lovely evening. Bye.